Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another brand new episode of Misdiscovered Movies. I'm your host, Dylan Cardoni, taking you on an incredible journey into the history of the movies, where we will celebrate film in the most extraordinary way together. On today's episode, we will time travel to a more recent film that was released back in February of 2014 at a school filled with magic, werewolves, and vampires. This is Vampire Academy. Now, some of you are actually probably wondering as to why I actually chose this particular feature motion picture. Well, the truth of the matter is that not a lot of people actually remember this movie ever since it actually made its theatrical debut back in that winter of 2014. Let me get this to you straight right now before I do intend to forget. When I actually first heard of Vampire Academy, I actually had no sudden interest in seeing it to begin with. I thought that the film actually looked very unsurreal, quite bizarre, and just plain horrible. I was actually more of a Harry Potter fan than watching films that involve around vampires in it. I finally gave in to this film back in September of 2014, and let me tell you that I completely enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was actually a fun and very entertaining film. As I look back on it, I completely realized that this film should have been a more superior movie than any of the Twilight films that people were used to seeing. I actually thought that the story had actually flown quite well, and I also think that the action sequences were pretty good. The acting was also quite an accomplishment to me personally, especially the character of Rose Hathaway that was actually played in the movie by Zoe Dush, who was actually the daughter of Back to the Future star Leah Thompson. She had very little acting experience in the film industry and had only starred in a couple of films and TV shows before getting her big break in this film. Her character, of course, was actually a little bit over the top at times, and some of the jokes that she says throughout the film can actually be lame as well, but to me personally, this is precisely what her character should be known for, and I loved it. Many fans of the original novels actually speculated that her character was very much similar to that of Ellen Page's persona in Juno. What also surprises me a lot about Vampire Academy is that a lot of the negativity from critics and fans alike was actually given to Gabriel Byrne, who actually plays the character of Victor Dashkov in this film, which I think is kind of odd because since his versatile acting is what made this movie run smoothly. What I like most about this film is that it actually shows a mixture of different types of supernatural beings, not just a series of vampires, but other elements in there as well, such as of course guardians, magicians, vampires, and so much more. And to me, really, I think it succeeds actually way better than any of the Twilight films with whom I'm not a fan of to begin with. The film, of course, actually went into development since 2010, and the rights to the original novels by Rachel Mead were completely owned by Preacher Entertainment. Executives at Preacher, of course, actually wanted to hire a couple of well-known filmmakers to take on a project like this, and of course it was actually no surprise that Mark and Daniel Waters had signed on to make this film. Daniel, of course, was actually an established writer, known for writing some of the most greatest screenplays ever in Hollywood cinema, such as the movie of Heathers, Hudson Hawk, as well as Batman Returns and Demolition Man, while Mark was actually an accomplished filmmaker, directing such magnificent films such as, of course, Mean Girls, Freaky Friday, Ghosts of Girlfriends Past, and Mr. Popper's Penguins, among others. Although the film actually received negative reviews from critics and audiences alike, the film did not actually make its money back, and the film actually became a box office failure. For me, why the film actually became very misdiscovered and quite forgotten is because audiences had very little interest in these type of films that actually feature supernatural elements in many movies. I also believe that the term teen comedies were actually fading away from the spotlight that moviegoers weren't interested in seeing either. At the time though, we actually had films like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, high-concept fantasy films, and Disney movies that very much became box office champions. Since the film actually became a box office failure, we will never be able to watch the sequel to this very intriguing story that was originally going to be made right after the release of this film. If there is a small chance, then I also believe that the film will also become a cult classic in the next several years' time. Do I think that Vampire Academy should be rediscovered in the public eye? Then the answer to this question is absolutely yes. And if you like these kind of type of films, then I think you should definitely check it out. Alright, now it's up to you once again, ladies and gentlemen, on what you think this movie might be. Do you think that the 2014 fantasy film of Vampire Academy is definitely a misdiscovered movie since nobody seemed interested in these types of films anymore? Or do you think that this film of Vampire Academy should in fact be rediscovered for future generations? Until next time, I will see you at the movies.